Hello, beautiful souls. Avalon here with the glorious and most beautiful Anna Turian. Say hi, Anna.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Bonestone Bash.
We are so excited to have you join us for this Bonestone Bash, and this is the 12th Bonestone Bash, and we have quite a few little unveilings for you. I would like for myself to stop saying little, because nothing about these cards is little. This is a grand idea. The artwork is not little. It's big. It's really big. It's big. It's bold. And so I have to stop this minimalizing thing that I do, you know, for the sheer sake of the word. So with that self-correction out of the way, welcome to everyone who has taken the time to join in on this Bonestone Bash. We are, just to set the scene for you, we are working on the suit of swords. Of course, the suit of swords was decided via community vote. So it was the community who chose the suit that we would begin with. Our full majors are complete. We are now moving through the suit of swords at, one would say, a rapid pace. So rapid, in fact, that we have up to the page of swords done. And today we are going to be designing the Queen and the King of Swords. Now, there'll be a little bit more about the King and Queen of Swords to come. And there was a community vote there as well as far as the King goes, which was really exciting. It was so nice to see what people were choosing in the grips of that community vote, but we'll talk a little bit more about that soon. Now, Anna has amazing stories and wonderful reveals. And Anna, is there anything that you would like to say so far regarding the creation of the suit of swords?
Well, the suit is, you know, I'm a little biased, of course. So, but you know, the suit of sword is my favorite. So I'm very glad that we started with this one, because I get to like sink my teeth in it, and I honestly can't believe that we're almost done with it, to be honest. So knock on wood.
It's so true. It's so true.
Sticking with this,
it's been amazing.
It should be good. I will, you know, now that we did we have the 9, 10, and page. And as you might have noticed, we did not post any of the final cards on the Facebook group because we had to, well, one of them comes with a disclaimer. So.
True story.
Right. So I will start with should we start with the reveal? Should we reveal?
Yeah, I think so. I'm just sharing some links around. That's what I'm doing at the moment. So if you want to start with the reveal of our beautiful, oh my gosh, I'm so excited for these, because each one is really unique to the other. And I think that we've like pushed the limits in certain facets of this suit. So I'll leave that for you to determine for yourselves, of course. And so yes, begin.
Okay. So I'll start off with the 9, of course. And if you guys remember, we decided on showing, you know, we're not doing the traditional person sitting and you know, having the nightmare and standing up in bed. So we're showing the nothing, a beast that is, you know, it's not a particular beast, but it's the fear that it can instill in everybody. So here is the nothing. I'm gonna flip it this way. Let's see if I can get, there we go. Now it's getting the color right. So this is the nothing. It is the beast that's coming out from the dark. It's ferocious, and the idea is that you don't know, is it going to bite you? Is it going to leap at you? Are you safe? There's that feeling. So he's not, at this point, there is no blood or anything going, because you don't know exactly what state this is in. He's in. And if you will go to the Facebook group, you'll actually see that in the card. So this is the obviously the watercolor version, but in the card version, you know, it's a little bit more he's actually more in the dark, so you won't see as much of him. So he's going to be even more menacing. His eyes are kind of yellow, and he's mean, folks. He's really mean. So we are calling him the Nothing.
Yes, we are calling him the Nothing. We are talking about that very thing that frightens the pants out of each and every one of us. There is no one thing. Everyone has their fear encapsulated in a different face, in a different mask, in a different event, scenario, you name it. Our fears are all quite individual to who we are, but the central core of it is fear. And so the Nothing is the representation of that fear, of that anxiety. We toyed around with potentially putting blood in his mouth. I'm all for a bit of blood, and Anna always talks me off the ledge. And she's like, well, no, we want them to think that he's about to bite. Is he about to bite? Do you just think he's about to bite? Are you in danger? You know, do you feel calm? You know, all these things. Whereas if the blood was there, it would look as though he had already attacked. And that's not really the kind of energy that is to be present in the Nine of Swords. The Nine of Swords is about that internal mental anxiety, that fear, that insomnia, that thing that keeps you awake, that thing that niggles at you, the thing that causes you a sense of dis-ease. And, you know, when your emotions and your mental state is at such a peak and everything seems, you know, frenzied, and it's fear, it's just, it's all of those very heavy emotions. And so you have it in the Nothing. And if you're a big fan of the Never Ending Story like we were, we of course drew inspiration from there. And we're not necessarily calling the Nothing the official name, but we went with that representation of the wolf. In our quest as non-psychologists. We're not psychologists, nor are we psychotherapists or anything like that. And so we try to discern what caused fear for each individual. And as it turns out, fear can be triggered by a myriad of things. And so we went very basic with something scary like the boogeyman. And, you know, we decided to go with the wolf because it was very primal, and also because we were inspired by the Never Ending Story, which is just the most amazing movie, isn't it?
Right. I love it.
So there you have the 9.
Okay, so now we have the 10. So I give you Avalon for this.
Folks, if you have small children in the room, please remove your small children or come back to this video at a later date. If you are not at least 18 years or older in a mature state of mind, please look away. Look away for the next couple of minutes while we reveal this card, because it does have confronting imagery, and some of this imagery could trigger you. Some of this imagery could just slide on past and you think that it's totally awesome and gnarly. So just kids away, please. Minors away. Please, just I'll pause for you to be able to do this, okay? And now we are going to reveal the 10 of Swords. Anna.
Okay, 10 of Swords. Okay, so guys, this is the 10 of Swords. And here we see a fallen soldier on the battlefield, and he is being taken apart by ravens. In the background, there are heads on stakes, and you have his sword is in his hand. There is another fallen soldier over here, and the helmet, which, hold on, this is the other side, right there, and his helmet. You can see the pieces being taken from him. And so this is our 10 of Swords. We're not sugarcoating it.
No, it's not sugarcoated
at all.
It's 10 ravens, and the 10 ravens are meticulously and deliciously and doing their thing, and they're just picking apart the corpse of the fallen soldier. We have exposed rib, and I specifically asked for one of the ravens to be picking at an eyeball just because. It was really a just because thing, because I thought it would be really effective.
That was all her. That was all her. That was not me.
Eyeball was definitely me. I take full credit for the eyeball. The chest cavity exposed, however, that was Anna. And she has a great story to go with that. Anna, would you like to tell your amazing story for those of you who are in the Bonestone?
Okay, yeah, so this is what happened. So after we did our little chat last time, so I usually take a day or two, and then I start sketching and all that. And I couldn't decide which card to start. And I went for a walk, and as I'm walking, I look to my right, and like 20 feet away, what do I see? I see these vultures, like 2 or 3 vultures. They were ripping apart a carcass. I couldn't see what it was exactly, because it was like at the point where it was pretty much almost taken care of. But I did see the ribs. It looked like it could have been like a little rabbit or something, but it was just like you could see the ribs, and they were like picking away at it. And I stopped, and I was like, well, there you have it. There's my answer. I didn't know exactly which one to start with, but now I certainly do. So that's a bit of divine guidance there, right? If there was any doubt in my mind, it just kind of came about. Right.
But it's a powerful card. It's a beautifully powerful card. And, traditionally speaking, the rider, I should really have a rider-weight deck. Oh, look at that. I was going to say, I really should have a rider-weight deck near me. And as it turns out, I'm sitting in a room full of tarot decks. There's a couple of rider images here. But the traditional imagery for the rider-weight, even though Pixie's artwork is really, it's sweet. It's on the sweet side. I would like to draw your attention to the fact that the 10 of Swords is incredibly ghastly, even though it's been dressed up to be a sweetie of a card. Like, look at that. Look at that. Sure, it's not ravens picking apart a corpse, but it is still a dead person with 10 swords in its back, laying beside water and a night sky. Very lonely death too, mind you. Like, there is something so eerie. And I just thought that I'd pull out the 9 as well. The 9 is just, look at that anxiousness of the 9. And look at the 10.
And there are 10 ravens. Just in case anybody was wondering, there are 10 ravens. So instead of the 10 swords, we have 10 ravens.
That's right. 10 ravens to represent the number 10. We've gone with numerological representations where we wanted to. The 8 of Swords has 8 swords in there, but that's one of the few times that you're going to see the actual representation of the physicality of the suit itself, like, 8 swords, or 8 wands, or 8 pentacles, and so on and so forth. We'll try with each one to sort of like jut it in there a little bit, but for most part we can work with alternative representations that still give it a good depiction. So yes, we've got the 10 of Swords in the rider, which we love the Rider-Waite Smith. We like working with the Rider-Waite Smith, but as you can see, it's not a soft card. It's not a soft card, and it's a card that was drawn in context to its time, perhaps, to the artist's, personal experience, perhaps. But our Bonestone 10 is a card that is drawn in the context of the primeval world, a world before law and order and, structure and society, a time before those things. And it was a wild time. And so we've gone for wild imagery in every regard. For this deck, we have gone for really wild imagery. And so there is nothing subdued about it. I do believe that we have encompassed or connected with the intensity of the Rider 10, but we've just done so in a very different way. The inspiration is definitely still there, though.
Yeah, and I mean, the name of the deck is Bonestone and Earth Flesh. So, I mean, come on. You can expect us.
Not going to be soft. Not going to be soft.
Graphic stuff, right? But, you know, I think about it this way. I mean, aside from the swords, the suit of sword, there are really, and, you know, so we went through the major arcana, and now we did swords. At least the cards that are the most violent, I think we've done. I don't think there are that many that are in, I mean, we could do, I'm sure we will do something, but the most, in my opinion, the most violent suit tends to be the swords. You know, the cups, there are some things in there, but not as, you know, hurtful.
Yeah, it's a punchy suit. It really, the punchy suit. It's the one. It's that one suit that really. There's two types of tarot readers, I think, and they are the ones that love and totally get the suit of swords, and there's the ones that don't. They don't love it and they don't 100% get it. This doesn't, of course, make you a bad tarot reader. We all have cards. As professional tarot readers, we all have cards that we just have a little struggle with, and that's a personal thing. And there's times that there's a whole suit that really challenges us. This doesn't mean you can't read the suit. It just means that it's a challenge. And for many, the suit of swords is a challenge. And for others, it's a challenge with a huge layer of deep understanding. And, you know, that's it. Like, the swords are the big ones. They're the big boys. And which is why, I don't know about you, Anna, but I was really surprised when people chose the swords. Most people just have this real affinity to wands, for instance. Everyone talks about fire, wands, being a fire person, and it's like, it's very alpha energy, you know? And so I naturally assumed that wands would be amongst the first chosen, if not the first chosen.
I thought they were going to go with cups.
Yes. Interesting. We've got cups coming up next, though, don't we?
Right.
That's right. So we've gone from sword to cup. So we've gone from a more masculine type of energy, which is the energy of both swords and wands. So we're working within the masculine paradigm here. And we then lean into the divine feminine paradigm. So there is an element of softness, but there's also still an element of bitter and stern to be found within the suit of cups. So there's such beautiful romance and whimsy, but there's also such inner emotional turmoil that goes on through there. All the suits have their own turmoil. All the suits have their own highs, lows, their challenges, their celebrations. Every one of them is there, but they are always within the context of their element, of their ruling element, let's say. For those who want to know what happened to my finger, I saw that one or two people have asked. I believe I've broken this one. In a late night, getting up out of bed to tend to my little girl who was crying in the middle of the night. She wanted either some milk, or she wanted a drink, or she wanted something. She had a very unsettled sleep. I slammed the door on my finger, and it hurt like a mother bitch. Oh my God, it hurt so much. It hurt so much. If it hadn't have been like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, I would have screamed and probably cried, but I didn't. I just lay there in bed, like unable to sleep, going, oh. My husband's snoring next to me, none the wiser. I think I might trade him into a more romantic and caring model. Oh my gosh. Anyways, so we have just shown you the nothing, the 9 of swords. We have just shown you the 10 of swords, and now we have the reveal of the page. Now there is a special story to go with the page. Now for those of you who joined in on our last Bonestone Bash, we really sort of like, we threw around quite a few ideas regarding the page, and then we kind of ended on a very high idea. Wasn't 100% settled, but it was our theme. We were going to go with it, right? And then I got an awesome message, a private message from a gentleman by the name of, I'm going to pull up the message here so that you can see. A person by the name of Mateo Leal. And he put forth an idea, very respectfully put forth an idea. And I just want to read a little bit about what he said here. So I'm going to read some, but not all of his message, okay? He writes, and I read, I hope it's not too late. I'd love to see the Merlin sat in an unidentified space, the ceiling of the space disappearing, fading through a spell he had cast into the stormy air background as carried out through this suit. He has candles around him and a large spell book, a quill from the ace, in brackets, on the floor. He has a worried, determined look on his face as a whole heap of books fly around him, encircling him as he tries to cast a spell to settle the flying books. This shows that he is still a student of magic and has yet to learn to master the skills as a wizard. So that was his idea, and we honored a lot of that idea. I was so inspired by it. It felt a little bit Harry Potter, you know, there was that little bit of Harry Potter element to it, but it was whimsical wizard, and I really wanted to use some of that. And so I sent the message across to Anna, and I asked Anna what she thought, and Anna said, I really like it. So we were both pretty taken by the idea. We have, of course, adjusted it. We've made our own little, you know, little thing here and there, but we have achieved it. So Anna can tell you a little bit about her inspiration, why she's put a few things here and a few things there, and I'll leave it with her.
Okay, so here we have the page of swords. And so like Avalon just described to you, so this idea has come from one of the viewers, and we've tried to you know, incorporate a lot of the elements here. So I'm going to describe what we have. We have young Merlin, who is, he is at the point where he's studying magic, and things are, you know, kind of going a little crazy around him. You have books that have sprout wings and are flying everywhere around. There are candles that are levitating in the air, and you get to see a little bit of the magic that he's creating coming out from his hands. So the background, you have almost like the, so you see the bookcases behind him. The so the room is fading and into this sky. You can kind of, it's turning see-through, partly because of his magic. And what we are actually doing, we changed it up. We have him focusing at the one thing that he's actually currently controlling, and that is the feather, which is the actual ace of swords in the deck. So there's a little bit of a message here that, you know, he is young. He is not as versed, obviously, as the queen or the king of swords. He is working towards his magic, but he has mastered the beginning of the suit. He hasn't walked or progressed through the whole suit yet, but he is at the point where he is mastering it.
Yes.
And you see this expression of focus and concentration, because he is succeeding in this task, in this pretty awesome task. So this is the page of swords.
That's it. And I've got to say that I'm very thankful to Mateo for sending through that very nice message. It got the imagination really flowing. We, Anna and I, exchanged images of arched ceilings because I wanted to have some kind of an arched ceiling effect. The bookcase is reminiscent of the wizard. And so he is, technically he's in an old sort of stone building with an arched ceiling and bookcases, you know, all around him. And now the ceiling has faded away. He looks very focused on the feather that he's levitating, but he is completely detached from the chaos that is going on around him. That's one of the aspects of the page that has always intrigued me, is that the page for me brings that early focus into the equation. It doesn't bring the mastery, it brings the focus necessary to master a skill. And so here he demonstrates that skill of focus, and with focus comes a tremendous amount of achievable things if we can just focus individually. And so I really like that that inclusion. He's standing, of course. His robes are that fading blue, the blue of the suit, the blue of the feather. And Anna has also, have you talked about this already, Anna, about the digital aspect of the feather?
Right. So I'll do this actually right now. I'm assuming everybody's on a computer, obviously. So I'm going to post on the Facebook group the cards, because in the card, the tarot card, the photoshopped version of it, the feather is glowing, so you can see it more. There's more attention drawn to it, which is not in the watercolor. So I will put those up. You know, give me a couple minutes, half a minute here. I'll put them up because I haven't put anything up so far. But yeah, I mean, because we wanted to draw more attention to the feather, and there's only so much that you can do with watercolor. Sometimes it's good to kind of play around in the computer. I'm not a big, I'll be honest, I don't work a lot with, so digital manipulation is not my forte. I know there's a lot of artists who are very proficient in that, and I'm good at retouching and stuff, but I tend to paint everything out. So I'm old school, folks. Let's see. I'm trying to, oops, post it.
Oh my God, I can't type.
Yeah, Avalon can't shuffle. Can you believe that? That's so.
I know.
It's attacked you, right?
My worst nightmare. As a result of my worst nightmare, I did this dodgy shuffle on my sun and moon, and it gave me the devil. I know what this means for me personally. I just know. Madeline M, you missed so much. All rediscoverable, let me tell you.
Sorry about that. I think I disconnected it by mistake. There's the page. Page is going up. I have so much stuff on my computer. It's starting to slow down. So as you guys can see, we will take, we do take suggestions, and at this time we've taken quite a bit.
It's true. I don't think we've incorporated as much of anybody's suggestions. Well, actually, the strength card had quite a few suggestions. I do believe it was Patrick in the 78 cards that asked to put in the elephant into the strength card. Somebody else put a bear. I'm pretty sure I put the snake in there.
Yeah, we did. All right, it went up. There we go. So if you want to take a better look at it, you can check it out there. And I also put the nothing because it's a little more, it's darker in the version that we have online. Let's see. Here goes the nothing. So we're working on the queen and the king today.
We're on the queen and the king, which is very exciting. Now, in our last Bonestone Bash, we floated the idea of drawing inspiration from deity, from gods and goddesses. And so we had also determined that there would have to be no sequence or cultural association per suit. And what I mean by that is that not every suit would have to be created using gods from one particular pantheon. We've used a mixed pantheon, and I think that that works a lot better because it brings the diversity through that I really want included in this deck. I want a lot of diversity, and I don't want to follow this, the one single line of thought across a suit. I am following a single line of thought through the suit of swords, but I'm not in a descriptive scenario, if you know what I mean. So we chose Merlin as the page, and we have is it Athena?
For what?
For the knight.
I think so, yeah.
Athena? Athena for the knight. I just drew a complete blank then. Sorry, guys. Athena for the knight, the Morrigan for the queen, and by popular demand, Arthur, the King of Camelot, for the King of Swords. So Arthur and Excalibur. I think that's a very fitting scenario. I had posted up a poll on the Bonestone and Earthflesh Tarot group with a list, a pretty long list of male deity that could have from several different pantheons. I had Japanese, I had Yoruba, I had Greek, I had God, where else did I come from? Celtic, Norse. I had a ton of
you had a bunch of things. You had a bunch of.
I did. I had about 10 or 12 deity, and each person voted for their most preferred. And King Arthur just won head and shoulders above everyone else. So in honor of that and my, at the time, illness, I'm still getting over a cough, which is very annoying. And now I have a broken finger. So I watched the movie King Arthur with, that really super sexy actor. What's his name? Charlie Hunnam.
I haven't seen that one.
Have you not seen that one? It's Jude Law.
No.
It's Jude
okay,
Law.
I'm going to go see it now.
It's Jude Law. It's Charlie Hunnam. It's Charlie Hunnam. And I'm just going to say it one more time. It's Charlie Hunnam. So he is probably one of the sexiest people in the world to me. Anyways, so I watched it and I saw a really cheeky side as depicted through the the movie for the King of Swords. A little cheekiness there, King Arthur and the King of Swords.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really interesting because a lot of the depictions, whether literal or theatrical, they had this somber element to them. And this one went away from that somber element. And I think that that's quite nice. I think it's nice to diversify. I don't think any one person is one way only. So it's nice that they injected this like street cheekiness to this one. But I have seen various different depictions of the Arthurian legend, and I love every single one of them. There's not one that I dislike. So let's see if we can draw some inspiration for the king using, all of our favorite elements, because he's a legend. We all know something about him, don't we? We all know something about King Arthur of Camelot. We all know something about Excalibur. If chances are, if you're watching this right now, you might have an interest in things of a pagan nature, in mythology, and let's face it, you will have come across the concept of King Arthur, Merlin. You might come at it from a bardic or a Celtic angle, where you might be studying the goddess Ceridwen, and then the talisman, and you know the metamorphosis that occurs there, and there is a lot of magic, or the Avalonian legends for that matter, like Mists of Avalon. Anyone a fan of the book The Mists of Avalon? And of course then the movie. Too bad about Marion Zimmer Bradley being an absolute arsehat, right? Yes, did you hear about that? It's very sad. It's very sad. I have a real soft spot for the Mists of Avalon, and then to find out that she was like a child abuser, it just crushed me.
I did not know that, no.
Yeah, and the allegations were made by her own daughter, like harrowing allegations, and I'm just like,
wow.
I had the wide-eyed blinky face thing going on. But let's move on, because I'm not going to dwell on that.
Okay, so can we start talking about the queen?
Have we designed?
Wait, the knight.
Yeah. Okay. The knight. For some reason, and I'm not going to lie here, I completely forgot about the knight. I was going to go from page to queen and king. Okay, so Athena is the Greek goddess of wisdom and battle strategy. That's just some of her attributes at the very least. She has a warrior-esque element to her. So I feel she must have black hair, very black hair, long black hair. She must have that beautiful Grecian olive skin. There's something about Olympians being depicted as stark white that always just like, oh, really? Okay. Because the knights depict movement, there needs to be a creature that she rides. My question to you is, does that creature need to be a horse?
No. Well, partly this is the suitor's swords. So I think that maybe keeping it with an air creature, whether it's a dragon or, I don't know, I'm thinking winged creature.
What about a Pegasus?
A what?
A Pegasus.
A Pegasus. Yeah, that could work.
Where does the Pegasus come from? Where does the myth of the Pegasus come from?
I'm not sure.
The Pegasus is from the astrological, what do they call it? The starscape. What is it called? I can't figure it out. The configuration of stars. What's a configuration of stars called?
Constellation?
There we go. Thank you. I couldn't think of the word. I do believe that most constellations are Greek in their naming. Okay, Pegasus. Can't type. Oh, it's also the name of an airline. Ah, it's Greek mythology. The Pegasus is a Greek mythology. It's a horse with wings.
Yeah, I knew that.
I thought that it was, oh, no, when I said Pegasus, in my head, I was thinking a griffin.
Oh.
Yeah, but no, Pegasus actually works. I'm just going to see here. He was sired by Poseidon in his role as horse god, and foaled by Medusa. Decapitated by Perseus. Gosh, it's a saga, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it is Greek, you know. It's
okay.
the Greek. So.
Hypotheses have been proposed regarding its relationship with the Muses, the gods Athena, Poseidon, Zeus, and Apollo. So without me actually meaning to, I might have just picked the right animal.
It's you know how it is. It just sometimes it just happens.
Just happens. Hi, Natalie. Just like to take this moment to say a hello to everyone who is joining in. We have 46 people watching us at this very moment in time. It's early days. Thanks for joining us, folks. And we are at this very moment deciding the design of the Knight of Swords. The Knight of Swords has been given to the goddess, the Greek goddess Athena, and we are now pairing her with a Pegasus, and let's see what else comes about.
I think that I'm trying to think how to. I think maybe having her come towards us instead of, you know how you see the knight moving sideways?
Yeah.
What if she's coming towards us?
I think that would do the scape a bit better. I think it would be much more striking. I have something similar planned for the depiction of the Morrigan as a head-on kind of thing.
Okay.
But yes, I think on the back, sword at the hand, sword at the ready.
Or she could even hold like riding with the sword and like towards
like at charge mode. If the sword could be somehow come forward as well in like an almost striking fashion,
right?
Like to bring us a real element of like action and movement into the image.
Okay.
So that people feel like she's mid gallop and you know you've captured this moment. Like
attack, I guess would be the
attack position.
Right. And with the wings, the Pegasus. Now, do you want to, you know, traditionally she has a helmet. Do we want to have the helmet on her, or do we want to discard the helmet? Are we looking more of a wild Athena, or are we looking at a more?
Well, a wild Athena would be way better. Let me just have a quick gander at some of her depictions.
Okay.
Okay. I see. So she has shield and oh, there's a bird. There's a bird in her. There's an owl.
An owl?
That leaves room for a creature to be flying alongside her.
Ooh, I like that. Like as she, you know, flying with her.
Like almost like a search party kind of.
Right.
Like
right.
You know that you know the line of sight.
Right. I know.
So I like in certain mythologies there's this merging of consciousness with animals that occurs. It's very shamanic, in fact. And even shamans, say South American shamans are the ones that I probably know about a little bit more than, say, Siberian shamanism or Native American or Australian shamanism. But the merging of plant consciousness, the concept of shape-shifting can be entering the consciousness of another creature and having that creature scavenge the forest and seeing through their eyes, right? So there could be an element of that, like that merging of consciousness with this creature. So the creature has a similar gaze, has a similar stare, like if that makes sense, an extension of that familiarity of spirit.
You want her dressed in like so picture this, like what if the owl, I know that the owls are, you know, usually are there, like what if the owl is matching the same tone of color that whatever she is wearing? So for instance, if she's dressed in black, the owl will be black. If she's dressed in white, the owl will be white. You know what I mean? Like, so it'll be, but that's like a little further ahead.
I think she's either depicted in white or in blue, right? I'm just trying to find, I've got a lot of fantasy depictions here.
White, I have seen her in white, yeah.
Yes. It's very hard to find something. I think she would look great in blue. Oh. Oh, hang on. Let me see if I can download this image. And, oh, fuck it. You know when you click on something and it takes you to Pinterest? I don't want it. Say that. Here we go. And I'm gonna Facebook message this to you. Okay, Anna. Okay.
Yep. I'm looking.
Hang on. Okay, so this is the tone of blue that I saw, and this has an owl in it. She's holding scriptures. I don't fancy the image 100%. Let me just tell you that. That's a little bit too, like, fantasy, whimsy.
Yeah.
I'll post this in the Bonestone group, so you don't feel like we're having like a chat amongst ourselves that you're not included in.
Oh, here, guys, here.
Yeah.
I'm sharing.
Definitely included. We're doing this.
Here we go.
How do I get? Okay,
but just so you know, here you can see a lot of her, but if she's on a horse galloping, you're not gonna see her as big. So
no. I'm thinking more the blue, the aspect of blue there.
Oh, okay. All right, okay.
That would, like, she could even have a more royal blue as, you know, as offset with that dark stormy sky. I think that could really pop. Because I'm saving black and the dark colors for the Morrigan, so I would like her in colors that are, you know, that are leaking into black.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I see. I like this blue. It's almost like a gray steel kind of. It's like a steely blue.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the blue. Oh God, why can't I get this to work? Why?
What are you trying to do?
I'm just going to post the picture up. Okay. This is good blue. I'm a big user of exclamation marks. Most people who know me these days, they know that. So there's an exclamation mark there. Perfect. All right. So I'm thinking.
Are there any other elements that you want to include? Like there's the owl.
The owl.
And
you know, copper jewelry, sword.
What? Copper jewelry, you said?
Yeah, copper, silver, some kind of metal jewelry.
Okay.
Not right, a combo. I'm trying to be really. I really want her features to be wild and swept. Like she's midair, and if you put a helmet on her, it's going to take away a lot of her essence.
That's why I was suggesting to have her. That's why I asked you, because if you have a helmet, she's confined. she's more proper, I guess would be the word, because everything is kind of tamed.
And then that's too much like the goddess as well. So we're drawing inspiration, not exact depiction. So there has to be the inspiration of the goddess, the feel. But I think without a helmet, very windswept, because she's up in the air, she's flying on the back of a Pegasus, because this is totally real, right? She's flying on the back of a Pegasus. The eagle's coming overhead. She's, you know, she's charging at the ready, the wind's whipping through her face, the stormy sky behind her, and she's got a hunger on her face. Her expression needs to be that of cunning hunter. All
right, I'm writing it down.
Even like teeth bared or something like that, just something that shows her intensity.
Problem is, I don't know how much you're gonna see the intensity, but if she's gonna be, her figure is not going to be that big.
I don't think you'll be able to get the full breadth of wing for the Pegasus. I think you're going to have to get a much more up close. So see my hands here. Let's say my hands are my wings. See, as I come closer.
Yeah.
closer, like you're not seeing as much. You'll still be able to see. You'll still be able to see the face most specifically. You'll be able to see the top of the head. And so the Pegasus is there not as the feature, but just as an element of, you know, a flight and an element of movement. The owl is far more important in this scenario than the Pegasus. If the wings are up and you can have a little feather pointing this way, feather pointing that way.
You want like a close-up of almost the head of the horse, could be even coming out of the page.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah.
You don't necessarily
have the full face of the horse. You don't have to have the full wing breadth of the horse. It's just very forward. So that the thing that you see the most is the intensity of her face and the owl that's above her head. So she's going to be lunged at the ready. You might not even see the full breadth of the sword. The sword will be coming out of the page as well. It'll be everything like trying to lunge out of the page.
Okay. Yeah, I get it. All right. Let me see. I have to look at some images of Athena for a second. Because I too forgot about the knight. I kept thinking we were doing the queen and the king, and the knight just totally like went over me.
I know. We're not really honoring the knight in this scenario.
Wait. Okay. Where'd she go?
On the book. Completely lost my book. Oh my god, I've got too much stuff. I really need Laura to come in here and just catalog everything for me now. I've just reached that point where I can't find anything. Anyways, I'll get there. Oh, why can't I find you? I have this book by Mary Kate Greer on the Tarot Court that's just legit phenom, and I'm trying to find it because it has context.
My husband sent something to the printer. I
can't find it. Now I'm annoyed. Oh, that was such a good read. Anyway, it was a good read.
All right. So is that what, you know, that's pretty much it, right?
That's pretty much it. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay.
Only I could find that book. Anyways, I wanted to talk about the aspects of the knight in relation to the card itself, and just the relationship of the knight in the court in general. So for me, every court card can depict. Are you gonna? Oh, sorry, Anna. Are you gonna be sketching?
Yeah.
You're doing your thing over there. Cool.
Yes.
So
yes.
For me, every member of the court of every suit represents a myriad of things. They are almost a triangle of things. From foundation, you have the page. To the middle structure, you have the knight. To the very tip below the apex, the queen, and then the king. Now, if either one will remove, that triangle will be damaged in some way. And so all four are a type of ladder effect for energies as personified through the court. For me, every page represents the beginning at a much higher level, an actualization of an element as brought to life from 8 through to 10. So the aces for the tarot are the quintessence of every element, the thought, the seed, the feeling. They are echoes of the Fool card in a much smaller and direct manner. So the Fool represents the spirit in search of experience, the beginning of beginning, the cosmic egg, the seed, the new venture, you know, so there's a lot to the Fool, right? And so the aces are the quintessence of each of their elements. So the seed of cups, the seed of pentacles, the seeds, so on and so forth. The seeds are non-established. They always depict an element of beginning, yes, and an element of growth, of potential growth. Not determined or certain growth, of potential growth. So when you see it in a reading, for instance, you see an ace, but then you've got a couple of reverse cards, you've got a death card, something never really takes off from there. So there's no actualized beginning. It's the hope of something to start. It's the whisper of it, you know, it's the potential, the hidden potential. So for me, all aces represent an element of potential. And then we move through the suit individually, and we get to the 10, where we cap off that journey, that element of the hero's journey. And we close a cycle off. Some people like to cap it off at a 9. The number 9 is very sacred, depending on what philosophy of magic or mysticism that you particularly adhere to. Some see the gestational period of the mother, 9 months, as the fruition aspect. And then the 10 is the final blow. And you can see that if you like. For me, everything ends at the 10. Whether actualized or unactualized, it ends at a 10. It's either a good ending or a bad ending. You know what I mean? With the 10s, and we see that. And then we get to the court. So the court has all of the wisdom of the ace through to the 10. All of that wisdom, and they carry they carry that wisdom with them into the suit, where they begin to put that wisdom to work for them. But this is the first time they're doing it. So this is them beginning a job. Imagine employment, beginning an employment with a certain skill set, but not the exact skill set for the job that they've been employed for. There's a certain amount of training that they need to do, and their experience up until that moment make them a perfect fit for that potential future job, if you know what I mean. So they have all of those elements there. So the page is that beginning of something at a higher level. The Page of Swords in this regard is about the focus, mental aptitude, the ability to apply oneself, to be vigilant, to absorb knowledge, and to be the student at the same time, and a really fucking good student too, because they have the ability necessary to genuinely accumulate knowledge in that particular regard, right? Are you with me so far? Am I am I off on a tangent? Are you with me so far? Have I over-explained this, under-explained this, or have you hit a wall? You're like, I don't know what you're talking about. Simple yes or a heads up. I'll just go then. I'll just keep going. So with the expression of the page in the Bonestone, and we have him as the beginner, his power in the Bonestone is that of focus, right? And so with that focus comes through the experimental aspect. So the youngness of the page is his desire to experiment. He experiments with focus. And for that reason, he's quite calm in chaotic situations. So it's a nice thing. It's a nice attribute to have. With all that going on, as he's experimenting, as he's exercising his limits, his skills, as he's doing his thing, he's growing. He's growing and he's actualizing. So he's rising to the occasion. His next metamorphosis is that of knight. Once he has focused and once he has his skill set, then he can morph into this hunter. He can morph into this knight that faces peril with so much more courage and bravery, because he has a wealth of experience behind him. And he has honed his skills early on in the piece as a page. And the metamorphosis of page through to knight, for me, it's always been a metamorphosis that takes years. It takes years. So there's a maturity to the knight that is not present necessarily in the page. So with that metamorphosis of page through to knight, then we have movement, we have action. So for me, all of the knights depict an element of movement. And the Knight of Swords is almost vigilance. So his power is vigilance. Just as the power of the page is focus, the knight's power is vigilance. It's scouting. It's creating an overview. It's obtaining an overview of a situation. So it's gaining perspective. So it's vigilance and perspective, all of which is incorporated into movement and flow. And why is it incorporated into movement and flow? Because it is precisely the knight that takes that message, that accumulated message, through to the hands of the queen. The queen then mulls over it. She goes through it thoughtfully, carefully, and she creates a plan. And within that plan, she sets the intention. So there's a set intention as created by the queen, and the queen passes on that set intention to the king, who actions out that very same intention. So he's extending out beyond the queen. And by the time we reach the king, we reach the apex, the nobility. We reach that pinnacle of the suit itself, the shining glory of the suit. And within that element of shining glory is that essence of being exalted. So those who generally take on attributes of kings, you'll feel that they are generally exalted people. This is not to say that they need to be famous. They don't need to be famous. They don't need to be known. It's an energetic thing. And you can find that same energy, those parallel energies, in a person, a place, a thing, an event, a situation, which is why the court don't just necessarily depict people. They can, and that's a very old school way of reading the tarot court, but they don't necessarily depict the people. They can depict situations. They can depict the means through which a piece of wisdom or a situation or an event might come to you. And so we're going to be working with the energies of the knight right now. So as I've just explained, the page has fooled around honing his skills. And once he has what he needs, once he's in that room and he makes that feather fly and the books are settled, the ceiling isn't disappearing overhead. And he has mastered that task. He's mastered the ace. He can take the ace, which is a sword. If you remember the little ace itself, it's a sword. He can take that through and present that to the knight, and then step into the archetype of a knight. You can look at the court as archetypal energies, and that's one of my favorite ways to look at the court, as particular archetypes. The mother archetype, the father archetype, the warrior archetype, the student archetype, for instance. And that's just a few that you can use to apply. There are many, 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 right? And depending on how each of these decks, each of these thousands of decks of tarot choose to depict their court, you're going to get a different understanding, which is why if you journey with 10 decks of cards and you have a look at all of their depictions, whether traditional or non-traditional, you'll find a very similar energy running through each of the cards. And when you get to the court, you're going to find very similar energies. But there will be some that look to soften the court, and there will be some that look to aggravate and agitate the court. I'm looking to aggravate and agitate. I can tell you that for certain right now, because a pacifying of the court is not going to fit the construct of this deck, so it has to be aggravated. It has to be teeth-bearing, a bit, everything's a bit raw. Everything has to be a little bit more raw. What have I missed?
Okay. Whenever you're ready.
Oh, I'm ready.
Okay.
Go.
All right. So, let me just see. Okay. So I have two sketches for you, one up close and one further, just so you can kind of see the difference. This is the one up close, what we were talking about, where she is coming at you. There's the sword. You can see like the part of the wings behind, and you will be able to see more of the wings and, like, I guess, differentiate in color, obviously, because she'll be wearing this blue. And you'll see part of the horse. This is his one ear, and there's the other ear, and his eye, and this would be the hair of the horse. So he's coming forward. Her hair is flowing. She's, determined, and there's also the owl that is behind. So this is a close-up shot of her. Okay?
Yep. I like it.
And now I did it just because I wanted to see. So this is like, this would be the further away. So this is how it would look, like how, so she would be smaller, right? So this is the tarot card. You'd be seeing obviously more, but you wouldn't get to see her expression and all that.
I like her close up. I really like her
me
close.
too. Yeah, me too. I have to agree.
It would look fine further away as well, but I think the intimacy of connecting with the eyes and the face and the expression will be far more powerful than just seeing the bird, like the full wings of the bird. That's the only reason why you'd really put it out far, is so that you could capture the full wingspan of the Pegasus, right? I was saying bird, but I meant Pegasus.
Okay, so are we good with that visual?
Yes.
Awesome. I like drawing flowing hair. It's one of my favorite things to draw, I have to admit. Hair in the wind. Yeah, hair in the wind is one of my favorite things to draw.
Oh, good to know. Good to know.
Some people like to draw flowers, and you sit there and you doodle. I doodle hair in the wind. It's just, I like the swirls and
I like it.
Anyway.
I like it. All right, well, I think we have our Athena, and then all we need to do then, obviously, it's going to be the same stormy grey. Little food for thought here is the owl is also present in the Hierophant card, isn't it?
Right. But the owl in the Hierophant is, I believe, brown. What color is the owl going to be? Is it going to be brown also, or?
I think the owl could be white and blue tipped.
White and what? And blue what?
White and blue tipped. If she's wearing a blue gown and we have a white owl with, a monochromatic fading around the wings where the blue matches the dress that she's wearing, and it's a light enough blue that, that she pops against that stormy grey sky.
Right.
I would just like you all to note how far I have come with design.
You're very good.
I used to say things to Anna, and she's like, no, you have to have it this color because of this, and you can't have it this way because it's not going to fit in the card. And now I've preempted all of those statements.
I know, you don't even need me anymore. I'm just like,
stop it, don't leave me.
Off in the corner there.
I can't draw worth a damn, I'm telling you. In case you haven't noticed, I've hitched my wagon to Anna's pretty, like, that's it, Anna, you're my artist to the end.
Right. I'm booked forever. I'm like totally like
forever. Oh my gosh. All right. So now that we have, how are we doing for time?
I think we're good. Is it 10?
Okay. Yeah, well, it's 12 here. We started at 10:30, so we've been on an hour and a half so far.
Yeah, we're good.
All right. We're good.
Right?
We're good.
Okay.
Excellent. So we're moving through now to the Morrigan.
Yes.
So yummy. Okay. At first, I feel I must say that stormy grey is the theme of our sky, right?
Right.
She has to be garbed in black. The wings present need to be garbed in black with a hint of like, what is the word that I'm looking for? I can think of it in Portuguese, but I can't think of it in English. What's the word? Help me out here, guys. What's the word? Take the labradorite stone. When you move it,
Right.
what
Teal?
the opalescence? Opalescence. Right. So
Okay.
I'm thinking black with a very, very deep blue opalescence, almost like an opalescent this blue.
This is her clothing.
This is for her clothing or her wings. I just wanted to say the colors out loud, and now you can envision the colors as we move through the design of her.
Okay.
So I'm not what are they called? I'm not a priestess of the Morrigan. Morrigan's is a pretty encompassing, all-encompassing energy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a devotee. I'm not a priestess of. And I do yearly work with her for a period of 6 weeks only. So once a year I work with her for 6 weeks. And so I only know a certain amount about her. I know that she is a goddess of formidable strength, and she's always present to some description during difficult or challenging times. So for her ancient depictions were, she was the goddess of the battlefields. And her animal totem, let's call it that, her familiar, as far as an animal goes, was the crow or the raven. I still don't know those two well. I always think of crow more for Odin and raven more for the Morrigan. And so what I would like to achieve for her is similar thing to what we have just talked about with Athena. The close-up, but she is all like, she's a huge step forth. There has to be a lot of intensity and a lot of power, and she is part bird. So think of her feminine body with the hands like kind of bleeding into like strong black wings, and a kind of like a headdress of a raven that comes down to her face here, and her eyes, her expression tilted down, so her eyes sort of look up and out, and a ferocious intensity to her.
I see her holding like a dagger.
Something.
A sword, but because, I don't know. A dagger seems to be quick. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be quick to use a dagger.
I'm going to look at weapons of the Morrigan.
But I mean, I think they could. Like, I'm wondering, should she be holding the
skull?
I'm sorry.
Head?
Well, I would make her holding two things. Like, she could hold the skull and a dagger at the same time. Like, she could be coming in.
She's crow and she's kind of sword, isn't she? She's got a staff in a lot of them.
But this is sword, so I'm thinking that she should hold the element.
I just got to send you this one. Just got to send this one to you, okay? Save as. There we go. Sending it to you now. Because you'll see I'm specifically looking at the headdress.
Okay, I was gonna say if you have a picture of the headdress, send it to me. That was my next thing that I was gonna say.
Okay, I've just sent it to you.
Okay, I got it. But see, this is more of a lacy thing on her face.
Yeah, I don't want lace. I want to use that as structure though.
Oh, okay. So definitely, like we could put, you see how she has the wings on the side, right, of the head?
Yeah.
If you look close, there's like some wings coming to the side. I could definitely incorporate that. I could even incorporate, here's a thought, what if you could expose her chest, right, and show her chest, like you said you wanted her part bird, so what if she's, instead of the skin, like the skin progressing to like feathers?
We could do that. But now I'm very inspired by this metal garb that she's wearing in this photo that I just sent you. I'm really looking at that attire, that metallic.
Pretty.
It's really nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think in order for her to have a dagger, her arms would have to be free.
Hold it. Okay, so like for instance, like how I'm holding, like, all right, let me get myself in there. So she could be coming at you like this, and like holding like this, like she could, and she could hold, if you wanted her to hold something else, she could, or you could just have that, and it'd be flowing hair, because you want the flowing hair. Because I like flowing hair.
She's in movement. She's not just going to be like this at you. She's doing something. She's halfway there. She's
getting there. She's coming at you, and we could have feathers or.
Sorry, bow and arrow just went boobs.
Yes, she will have boobs. Yes, but the boobs can turn into fur. I mean, not fur. Feathers. Feathers.
I think, okay, this is what I'm thinking, right? So if she was, you saw the picture that I just sent you, right? So it had metallic kind of thing. Imagine if she had little daggers, like intricately sort of like placed in her armor kind of thing, little daggers, one in her hand. It just makes her look really dangerous. I want her to look really dangerous.
Okay,
and
let me see what you
can come out almost like angel wings, so her hands are still free. If her hands are still free, then she could come forward. An element of wing could come out, say, from here. So from about there up and around, you could still see the stormy sky, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, you could put the stormy sky, like her hair is flowing, so you could see, like, you know, when there's like a pocket out, you could see through. Yeah. You know. So, and you could also keep it in tone by using blues, like in her clothing, like having some deep blue, maybe from the bottom up, like this kind of the stormy blue coming from the bottom. Unless you want her to start morphing out of the sky itself, you know, like there's like this massive black blue cloud. She's
my God. Holy shit, that's food for thought, isn't it? How do I feel about that? Hang on. I think something like that would be really awesome.
Do you know what I mean? Like if you were to take the sky like we did in all the other ones and flip it, right? Flip the sky at the bottom. So you have the dark clouds, like she's forming out of it. But she still have the feathers because she's flying. She's a bird. She's in the clouds. She's getting to that point. All right. Okay. Now I'm gonna sketch of something for her face, but for the middle thing,
she's such oh.
Let me look at some metal. I'm gonna have to research, not now because it's gonna take me a while. I'm gonna draw it out, but the metal thing that's gonna come on her face, I think I need to look that up a little bit just to get it. Because if it's you said do you want it on her hair? Like it's not. It's just like the coming at the top, right?
It's kind of like a draped kind of like,
because it has
imagine her in like a almost a black kind of lace that goes across her face. Her hair's all wild. She's wearing, let me just give you a very gypsy description of what I'm thinking here. Lace all wild, ear cuffs with little pointed ears, very gypsy description, a beautiful like necklace, like bellowing necklace, a tall figurine that's very statuesque with the big wings coming out, right? It's not battle enough. It's not battle-esque enough for the Bonestone. Like, that's what I'm looking at is essentially a beautiful lady with a draped like vintage dress that goes down to the ground. It's like sparkles a little bit, but it's not.
No, I have the picture in my head. I know what you want. I got it. This one I'm pretty clear. All right, I will work on it.
All right.
I'm gonna mute myself. Muting. Talk something. Talk something. What was I say? I didn't have a chance to read what everybody else was suggesting, so
I'm going to go through and have a look now at all of these suggestions. You guys are just blowing up my chat right now. What if she had daggers reflected in her eyes? What indeed? Bloody skull and bloody dagger, or at least some rusty dagger action with proof of damage. I like it. I want her to look fierce warrior, but not vampire. It's a fine line. Skull with a candle. Yes, she's a shapeshifter. Crow, raven, wolf, or eel. Huh. I don't know Dragon Age. She could have crow wings coming out of her garb. Like Tarot of Prague. I don't know. I haven't opened. Oh, did I open my... Wait a minute. I have a Tarot of Prague here. Let's have a little ganders at it. By the way, can we just give Baba Studios a big shout out for the high quality. Look at this deck. It's metallic. I'm looking at the Tarot of Prague. Oh, my fingers hurt. Check out this dragon one here. That's cool, hey? I haven't found it yet. I couldn't see it. I couldn't see it in Tarot of Prague. But thanks for inspiring me to flip through the deck, because I haven't looked at that one for a little while. I might, no, I won't. I won't use it in spring. Why do I have more Morrigan stuff? We do need some more Morrigan stuff. And I really wish I could find that effing book. I've got so much stuff.
Can you read the description of the Morrigan in terms of, can you find somewhere where it will give like just her personality?
I would love to. Oh. Okay. So what I know of the Morrigan, I'll give you what I know and then I'll read something out. But what I know of the Morrigan is she is a threefold goddess, and then when you look at her really carefully, she's almost a ninefold goddess. And she has maiden mother crone aspects, very much associated to that shapeshifter energy, and to also setting the battlefield. So she would set the battlefield and then, you know, challenge the warrior, so to speak, and then reap the soul. That's about all I know. Okay. If anyone who is watching right now doesn't know about the Morrigan and who feels very activated by this information, there is a tremendous amount of information out there. There are books dedicated to her. And there is actually one book by Morpheus Ravenna called The Book of the Great Queen, and that was a Kickstarter book that was funded almost 300 times its goal. So I've just gone to the druidry.org. So this is the Order of Bards, Ovates and Druids, of which I belong to. The articles, Goddess Morrigan. Okay, I'll read the whole thing. I won't skim. Well, I will, but let's see. The article is about the goddess Morrigan, who archaeological evidence now tells us dates back beyond the Copper Age and was the dominant goddess of Europe, called the Great Goddess. When I read the material about the Morrigan, I suspected that there was more to her story, and that she was a transporter between life and death, a birth goddess and a death goddess, in that she moved the soul through these cycles. Later writing seems to concentrate on her connection to death, but comes to view her as warrior. Societies often do, in a way connected to their own needs, power, energy, enchantment, and warfare. Some writing, of course, does not. She is seen as a healer, the protector of the land, and the person who brings Arthur to power. Ooh, I went through, sorry, I just got really excited. I went through literary accounts of her to give a fuller picture of her. So, what? I'm going to link this. This is what I'm going to do. Rather than read this whole thing out because it's quite long, I'm going to put this up on the page. Okay, I've just posted the Morrigan information on the page so you can have a little bit of a look at her. But I'm just going to skim through because it's talking about a sculpted breastplate, Copper Age, 3000 BC. Frequently stone slabs describe or display her eyes. I can't speak. Her beak and sometimes her vulva. That makes me want to depict her in a particular way. Parts of her seemed hidden. She is a bird goddess, an earth goddess, and her breasts not only nourish the living, they also regenerate the dead. Her breasts were believed to form the hills of County Kerry, called Dun Chien Anan, the Paps of Anu. She is the Irish Morrigan, goddess of death and the guardian of the dead. She has in these Celtic representations a bird's head, often a crow, raven, or vulture, and breasts, and on vessels depicting her. Symbol for the number 3. Sometimes 3 lines are connected and depict a triple energy that flows from her body, as she's the giver and sustainer of life. Very early, she is understood to be a triple goddess, a shapeshifter, a 3-part person. Her names are plentiful and sound like her original names.
Okay. Anytime.
Yeah, no, God. I've linked this article, the one that I was just reading from then, guys. I've linked it in the Bonestone and Earth Flesh Tarot group. So if you'd like to read a little bit more about that for yourself, then you can just go flat out.
Are you good?
Yep.
Okay, hold on. All right, so I drew her out. I made one mistake here, but I'll explain it. So, all right, so here she is. So I tried to draw her lace as close as I could from that picture. So, but that's going to be a Photoshop, sorry, a watercolor thing. Trying to get in there. There's her, kind of that tip kind of coming through. She has the wings in the back. To the side of her, there's there's feathers to the side. In her hand, she holds a dagger. This is just to show a little bit the dress that you showed me.
Yep.
And then on her, right here would be blades.
Nice.
So there, Can you see it?
Yeah.
Oh, and I have her holding a skull. So if you want me to take that out, I can. I put that.
I love the skull. I like the skull. Yeah, that works for me.
Okay.
You know what? The only thing I would change, I'm just thinking there in my morbid sense of self, the one thing that, the only other thing that could go in her hand would be the heart, would be the 3 of Swords heart. That's the only other thing that would be anywhere near as fitting in her hand.
True. But then the heart would have to be full. Like, it would have to be a real heart.
It would have to be a real heart, yeah. No, but I like the skull because she's the keeper of death, you know.
Well, yeah, I was drawing it as you said that, so I was like, oh, okay, good. It went.
It went to it. It went to it. And the bodice of her dress will have to be very detailed. So you can work with copper colors if you want Anna to really bring about, or like copper or silver or metallic colors to really bring about like intricate detail.
I'm gonna use that photo you sent. I'm gonna print that photo out. I'm gonna try and do something similar to that and see how it looks.
I like it.
Did you want me to do the clouds or not? Is that
play it by ear? See how you go when you're. Just play it by ear. See how you go when you're in the zone.
Okay.
But if you think it's going to look great, then yeah, do it. If you think she's better off like scavenging the battlefield.
If I do the clouds, then the dress, you won't be able to see that much of the, you know what I mean? Because it would kind of, she would be emerging from these clouds. So you wouldn't see the texture that you're looking for in the dress.
Then maybe no. Then maybe don't do the clouds. Because I don't want to confuse her as a tempest goddess either. Her attribute, she's an earth goddess, right? Her attribute, not that of tempest. So a wind deity, definitely, yes, would have been good coming out of the clouds. She's part bird, so it's very confusing. It's very confusing. You could do it because she's part bird.
Right.
I don't know, guys. Out of the clouds or not out of the clouds?
You know, think about it. And you know, I'm gonna start with the the knight. So I'm going in order how I made them. So we have the knight and the queen, and then so you still have time to think about it.
Mm. We'll talk a little bit more about out of the clouds, in the clouds. Mm. What if he did the suggestion of wind blowing hair, etc., instead of clouds? Not sure. Not sure what that means. Out of the clouds from bodice up, that be achieved?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like, okay, so you only have so much space. Like, you know, how I'm gonna draw it, it's gonna be more art. But when you put it into the card itself, it's gonna be, I mean, most likely this much of the, so you're gonna have clouds from here. Imagine that the type of the card is gonna be down here. So she's gonna have like clouds around here, and then you're gonna start seeing the bodies right here around this area. So it's gonna, like, you know, kind of like what's happening with the page, right? Right here, you see,
Yeah.
You can kind of see the building, and then it kind of goes into the sky. That's the same kind of thing. Only
I reckon no clouds, just the bodice.
Okay.
Madeline has asked, are we trying to depict the goddess or just the essence of the goddess? And I'm trying to depict the essence of the goddess, so it doesn't have to be exact. I think having her in an amazing bodice will still ring true to some of her energy. I think associating her with Crow and Raven. In this case, Raven, we've got a lot of Raven in the suit of swords. So Raven, that would be ideal. Having her dagger, having her skull, she'll have that element. She'll be very black goddess, very feathery, very death, right? Energies to her. And we'll be sure to see to that. Her infinite artistic wisdom. Oh my God.
The king?
Yep. Let's pencil out the king. We're running a little bit short on time, so we're going to put the outline. If we don't finish it, we don't finish it. We'll just keep working on it behind the scenes. No big rush, folks. There's a rush, but there's not a rush. And by the way, has anyone noticed how awesomely fast we're moving through this deck at the moment?
Like clouds, like wind, like thought.
Hey?
Like thought, like the mind, like wind.
Yes, we're just like powering through it. We are powering through it. So I genuinely dig that. All right, let's put a little outline.
I wanted to run an idea for the king.
Ooh, run away.
Okay. So, well, I think that, well, I think of Arthur and I think of Excalibur. You know, it's just me. They kind of go hand in hand. But I was wondering, like, so in the page, so the page, you see the whole scenery, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything going on around him. Then in the night, where's the night? I just drew it. The night, you have the night kind of, you're almost zooming, you're getting closer, right? You're getting closer. It's kind of, you're going from the page where you're seeing everything. It's almost like you're zooming in, but you're not just zooming in on the scene, but they're more focused, right? The energies are more focused. So the what do you call them?
Attributes?
Yes. Are more in focus. So then you go to the queen. Again, you're more close up to her. What if we, with the king, and this is just thought, we don't have to do it, it's just thought. With the king, we zoom in fully, like you get to see like part of his face, and he could be holding Excalibur, like you're right.
I love that.
And then if you wanted to, like, you could have like his, like kind of what you're seeing here from my face, like just have him, so you get this intense look, and you see that he has it. And then you could even, if you wanted to, you could put something like a reflected image inside the eye if you wanted to, because you'd be close up enough.
Yeah, I like it. I actually really like it. I have my only other thought with the king was that because we were going for up close too, I had this idea of him sort of like, imagine if he was sitting like I am, sort of on the edge of my chair on the throne, and he was I can't even do it because I've got broken finger, but he was resting his chin on the hilt of the sword, and he was sort of like looking out. Nice and close as well. But I had that right up close look. I want people to see his features. I want him to
so we're on the same wavelength there.
Yeah. I like that.
Now,
well, if you
do you see him young, or do you see him as like older?
Older, but not old. Older.
Okay.
So beard.
Okay.
Hair. I see him as blonde.
Yeah, me too. It's like the only one out of the
I know, right?
The only one I actually see as a blonde.
He's blonde to me. In my mind's eye, I see him as blonde. Piercing blue eyes. Or maybe even green. Green is actually a little bit more striking, I think.
I'm thinking like a dark background, but
yeah,
like almost
stormy background. Our stormy background.
Right, but having it like, so I'm thinking his face could be like, the focus would be his eyes, like the intensity of the eyes. So like,
yeah,
the hand and the sword, like the silver of the sword.
The hilt of the sword can glisten, and what you want to convey is that when you look at the card, you want to feel as though he's looking at you. He's looking directly into you, like, holy shit, he's looking right into me. Like, you want to have that reaction to it.
Okay. All right. Oh, sketchy. I'm out of paper. Get me some paper. Okay. All right, so I'm going to mute myself. Oh,
all right.
What was I going to say? No, I can't remember.
What were you going to say?
I can't remember. I'm drawing a blank.
I have found my court book, and I want to read it out to you. You got to love a book that says the court cards at a beach party. Hells to the yes. Does anyone here work with significators? Significator cards? I've never really been a fan. Totally weird. I know, right? I'm looking. This is actually a very hard book to flip through because dear. I'm looking. I'm not ignoring you. Why can't I just read? I might have found something here. Here we have Knight of Cups. We're at the Knight, Queen of Cups, Pentacles, King of Cups, King of Swords. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to read you out a little bit about the King of Swords. So we have typical roles, masks, personalities, mature, masculine, father, consort, boss, ruler, police, judge, government official, military, tyrant, guide, hero, leader, advisor, executive, diplomat, philosopher, dictator. Personality, styles and values, commanding, power, authoritative, controlling, judging, tactical, expeditious, diplomatic, quality control, precision, measures, you know, dispassionate. I like that. That's an element of the suit that I really want, is that dispassionate, that impartiality aspect. Efficient, upholds standards, morals, ethics. Logical, full of ideas, thoughts, designs, wants clear rules, goals, requirements, and or deadlines. Articulate, eloquent. Okay, stresses, problems, weaknesses. Overcritical, impersonal, unimaginative, rigid, dictatorial, weak, lack of emotion, unreliable or unfaithful, and so on and so forth. Sample occupations, I like this. Judge, technical writer, corporate manager, executive lawyer, counselor, diplomat, philosopher, military officer, which the military officer aspect really fits well with the King of Swords being Arthur, because he was a warrior. So that would be a kind of association. Politician, government, employee, crime prevention, decision maker, man of the cloth or lawyer, computer analyst. Oh, I can't speak today. I'm sorry. Events and situations. Thoughts or feelings about mental matters, trials, battles, prison dealings with rules and regulations, decision making, the establishment of laws and limits, strategies and plans, legal situations, the passing of outmoded laws. Advice: be diplomatic. Use your communication skills to defend the truth. Clearly define your position. Examine the situation for what it illogically or inconsistently is. Impractical or inefficient. Okay. Okay, so we've got a little feel for it then. I always think of the King of Swords as the big daddy, the guy that you go to for advice, like the really, really good advice. And I have an experience once upon a time where this is my most significant experience. It might not seem very significant to you, but it's the most significant example of the King of Swords that I have personally, that actually had a genuine impact on my life. So I had just separated from my first husband. Yes, I'm one of those people that has an extra husband. I was one of those people that, yes, I just separated from my husband, and I was at a chaotic crossroads. I was young because I got married very young, and I was at a chaotic crossroads. I was in my early 20s. I had suddenly all of this freedom, and no, I was in my mid-20s, let's say, and I had all this freedom, and I was just squandering my freedom. Essentially, I was I was out of control. I was out of control, like totally irresponsible, out of control. And I dragged my hungover ass into my then job working for an ass hat of a guy, but a nice company. It's just an ass hat of a manager. And I drag my ass in every day, and I do it every day, just drag my ass in. Never really like wanted to be there genuinely, not genuinely. I did it because it was the paycheck and that's what I was being paid to do. So, and then one fine day, I answer a phone call, a work-based phone call, and this voice, I was having a conversation with, just a side note, I was having a conversation with Alora where Morgan Freeman is the narrator of many things in my head. We were having this conversation. She's like, Morgan Freeman is the narrator of many things in my head. He's the narrator of many things in my head too. Morgan Freeman and Sean Connery. I don't know how to explain it. But think of a man with that Morgan Freeman type voice, an older man. And he asked me a question related to my work, and I answered that question. And he said, there's something in your voice. He goes, please excuse me. And he was very respectful. He was an older man. You could tell from the tone of his voice. He said, please excuse me, like yourself, which is an odd statement, I imagine, considering that I've never met you, nor do I know you. But I just believe that you do not sound like yourself. You do not sound alive, well, or happy. Like he put it in such a way. Those weren't the exact words. And then we got into this conversation because I was really taken aback by what he said. Not at one point did I think he was mocking me or, you know, he was being disrespectful. It was just the most unusual conversation. And we ended up talking, and I started to say, I'm just going through a bit of a thing. You know, I'm okay. I'm a bit tired. I'm going through a bit of a thing. He gave me this big spiel. Every word just perfectly measured, not too much, not condescending, not overly critical, but very logical, extremely, extremely logical. And there was an emotion there. There was a care there, but it wasn't a compassionate outpouring, if that makes sense. Like whatever he was saying, being very genuine by what he was saying. And then he capped off his conversation to me and he said, if you do what you have always done, you will have what you have always had. And at that time, being that I was stuck in this cycle of like repetition and going out and partying and drinking and looking for a buffer of a man at the time, you know, someone to like ease the transition of divorce. I just kept on doing the same thing over and over again. And the moment he said that to me, I just had the good sense to stop doing what I was doing. I just stopped and my whole life changed. And it was such amazing advice. It seems so simple. That wasn't the only thing he said to me. He gave me a lot of rich, soulful musing. And then he capped it off with that. And it always stayed with me. And I don't know his name. I just had this incredible conversation, and he was the most wise counsel I've ever received in my life at a time where I genuinely needed it. That was my King of Swords moment. Logical, to the point, transformative, life-changing. There you go.
It's a good story.
The end.
I also have the king done. Ready to see the king? I'm going to send you a photo of the king that I have in mind, just to paint it. Okay. So, but all right, so here is the king. This is what I'm.
Ooh, I like it.
Like he would be. And now I'm going to send you the photo of the portrait that I think would be something similar to that. If I could get to the chat that I need. All right, here we go. I just sent it.
Woohoo! Let me have a look. Let me have a look. Oh, cool! He's a great face. Yeah, he's a great face. His eyes need to be way greener, though.
Oh yeah. No, I'm just like I'm thinking like lighting.
Like that face,
the lighting of it. I like the dark kind of visual look. So
yeah,
something like that with green eyes, right? Let me write that down. With green,
with missing green eyes.
Green eyes. We got a couple of sexy men in this deck.
Yay!
Well, Odin's pretty good. Odin
Odin's pretty sexy.
has it. The four
The swords.
Sword.
His butt beautiful. His butt beautiful.
The Four of Swords. This guy right here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's looking at you. It looks like he's looking sideways. I know. I'm just drawing it fast, but he would be looking at you, like looking.
Piercing into me. Oh, I love it. Look at Bow and Arrow's comment. Sketch me next to him. He can be nibbling my ear.
Oh my God, you guys are so bad.
I love it. I love it. So he'll be looking directly out. Lots of detail on the hilt of the sword, no doubt. And, you know, texture, almost texture. So the fine lines on the face. And lots of, you know, a lot is missing. When Anna finally puts the color in, a lot more comes into play. So you can see the richness of detail. So if you can just imagine it for the time being, you know, he's going to be.
Oh, and quick question. Do you want any sigils on the sword? Since it's so.
You might have to look. I might have to look directly at replicas of, like, well, envisioned replicas of Excalibur.
Okay.
Because some have on there and some do not.
Okay.
About Excalibur.
Okay. I wrote that in.
Oh, he's got, there's quite a little something on the sword, actually. Everyone looks a little bit different one to the other, but you'll see
Natalie,
one in particular.
Natalie is very naughty, Natalie. Sorry.
What did Natalie say? What did Natalie say?
In the chat.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
Focus, ladies.
Focus. Right, I'm downloading this and I'm going to send you a picture of this one because I think it looks good. And it's also important to remember that an element of Arthur is actually tied to dragon, right?
True.
So he was Uther Pendragon. Yeah. So I'm going to send you, just got all these like awesome pictures back and forth.
Do we want to see him smirk on his face or do we want to see him serious?
I like the concept of an iron will in him.
Where's my phone? You sent me something. I'm looking for my phone.
I did.
Looking for my phone. All right.
So if you can see on the hilt that I just sent you, there's little
dragons.
like there's an element of detail there.
A lot of dragons in it. Okay. Yep. Mm-hmm.
That could be a really good one. And I think that might have even had something on the blade.
Look, guys, I'm going to try and show. It's probably not going to show very well in the. Let's see.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Can you see the dragons and so there's the two dragons. Let's see. And there's the guy.
There's Arthur. There's inspiration for Arthur. Yeah, well, that's perfect. That is just beautiful. I'm pretty excited about that. Oh, steep to the hilt. Fucking hell. You guys are awesome. A smirk on his face. Oh, I guess he's pretty, like, there needs to be some intensity to him, but I think the intensity can be in the stare and a sort of a smug little depiction of a smile, a little smirk. You could put a little smirk on his face, can't we? A little smirk.
You can try a subtle.
Very subtle. He can't be like,
hey, I got me a sword.
Hey! Pull it up. And if he's holding the sword, just going like this, that's not going to look great either. And you don't want him to be too, oh, well, you could have him seductive. Like you could give him a seductive smirk.
I have a sword for you.
I've got my long sword.
Oh, I'll be watching this after.
Well, I tell you what,
Yeah.
Charlie Hunnam as King Arthur, it brings the element of sexy, the necessary sexy element. Have you guys seen it? Everyone watching, have you seen the King Arthur with Charlie Hunnam as Arthur? I really want to own that movie.
When did it come out?
Oh, I don't know. I never go to the movies and I don't rent anything. So when it comes out on sort of digital stuff over here, I'll have a look and I might watch it. I don't have a lot of time for TV, folks, because I was sick. So
I don't have cable.
yeah, we don't do cable here either. And Australian Netflix is terrible. Is terrible. Yes, he's. Guys, I love it. I love it. All right. Well, we have what we need here. So we have completed the knight. We have completed the, hang on, the knight. Yeah, the knight. What can I think? Oh, sorry, because we unveiled. So we unveiled the 9, the 10, and the page. So that was 3 unveilings for today. We completed the outline for the knight, for the queen, and for the king of swords, which means that by the time that is complete, we have finalized the suit of swords and we get to move on to the ace of cups. The ace of cups is off limits to everyone because the aces are all 100% designed by me. So I have this. I've designed all the aces already. They're all in my head. No.
Oh.
All I've got to say.
It's gonna be, you know what the Ace of Cups will be? It'll be a big pitcher of beer.
It will be. It will be wine. It will be wine and it will be beer. It will just be like a waterfall of wine. It will be a barrel, an Aztec barrel of beer. And, you know, if I wanted to make it really morose, I could have someone drowning in their barrel of beer, you know, like they do in old school times. If you were a dodgy beer maker, they would drown you in your brew. True, verifiable fact.
That's kind of scary.
Well, I think take some responsibility for the matter, you know?
Leave it to you to make the cups gory.
No, all my aces are very simple, like I've explained to you in my little chatter about before. Am I very disjointed? Excuse me, I'm very disjointed at the moment. Literally. I'm laughing because I'm in pain. Anyways, so they're all quintessence, they're all C, they're all very simple. As you can remember the Ace of Swords, it was a feather and it had a little tiny detail on it, but it was very simple, it was very subtle and still a very striking card. So I'm going to take that theme and carry it through. Also, it's important to remember that when we design the aces, the background of the aces will determine the background, the color of the sky in the suit of cups.
Right.
So I'll make it pink.
No.
Blood red. I'll make it blood red. Oh my God, I can use blood. Yes, I'm so excited.
Wait, what? You want to use blood red as the background?
Yeah, I'm using blood. I can use blood because it's liquid.
Right.
It's liquid.
Right.
So I can use blood red skies, like, you know, really.
Oh, okay. You mean like sunset? I thought I'm seeing like dripping blood. I'm like, no. I'm like, no.
No, it's not Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Mind you, I can't go too red though because the suit of swords.
It's gonna get close to wands though. Remember that wands are very red and fiery. So you say red. Red is associated with fire, so you might visually, I mean, even though you have cups, usually people think water.
Maybe turquoise.
Turquoise is nice. I like turquoise.
I really like it. I really like turquoise. We'll play around with it anyway, see what comes of it.
Okay. All right. We haven't gotten to that, but yes. Yes. Sounds good.
So
hope you guys had fun. You've been quite naughty this time around.
Yeah, we get to the men and all of a sudden, like, all the ladies start to squawk. I love it. I love it. And some of the men too. And you know what? These are sexy men.
And thank you. Who was it again who gave us the
Mateo Fernandez? I can't. Leal, I think.
Yes, thank you, anyway.
Mateo, thank you very much for your contribution to the Bonestone and Earthflesh Tarot. And thank you to everyone who has been here to chime in, help us out, add to the flavor, add to the conversation, chatter away. We're a bit, I must apologize for being slightly more disconnected from the chat. I haven't really been following it very quickly this time around. Mostly because I kind of got caught off guard, even though I shouldn't have been, but I genuinely forgot about the night. Just saying. I'm like, oh, fuck. Because I had my ideas for the king and I had my ideas for the queen. The page was already done. I'm like, oh, we're doing queen and king, like I just described. Anna, as it turns out, was in the same mind frame.
Totally. I totally forgot about the night. Yep.
We might need some Knight of Swords medicine for us. Because
the knight would have been riding off. So because he's moving, so he would be totally moving away from the deck.
He's like, fuck it, I don't want to be in here. This place is gnarly. Oh, perfect. All right, beautiful people. Well, stay tuned for all of our exchanges. I'll post some of the pictures that we have exchanged in the during this chat in the Tarot group. Remember, please, that the second round of pre-orders will be occurring at the start of November. So at the start of November, second round of pre-orders. Pre-orders will be going through my Etsy store. For those who have already purchased, you know the drill. It's the same thing. For those who haven't, my Etsy shop links are all in the description bar below. My Etsy store at this very moment in time is on holidays because I have been very sick and now I've broken my effing finger. So please excuse me. I'm going to be offline for a little while and I'll see how we go in 2 weeks' time. If I'm feeling good, I'll be sure to book another Bonestone. I might need some extra time off. We'll see how we go. And also ahead of time, I am going away in November, in middle November, not at the start of November, but in the middle of November, I'm going away to a wedding in, I want to say it's Port Stephens. Can't remember. It's down south anyway, so I'm going to be down that way. All right, so we've got lots going on. Bidding you all farewell and thanks again for joining. Anna, any words of wisdom?
No, I'm reading the chat. So my words of wisdom have been totally erased, if I had any. They've all been tainted by the
Oh my god, I'm having a wet t-shirt, Bonestone Comp. Yes!
So I'm reading the wet t-shirt thing and you're asking me if I have words of wisdom, so
I think I might have to make a Bonestone t-shirt just full stop for myself.
I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
With the Brookster card.
Yes. Actually, that could be creepy if I'm walking out in public. Why do you have a shirt with your face on it? Oh All right, gorgeous people. We will speak to you later. If you have any questions or queries, leave them in the Bonestone Earthflesh Tarot group. If you don't know about the Bonestone and Earthflesh Tarot group, then go to Facebook, type in Bonestone and Earthflesh Tarot, and you will come across the group and you just hit join. We will approve you and you can partake in all of the behind the scenes. Anna has posted there a little bit of art video on her creation of the nothing, i.e. the 9 of Swords. We have been posting like a bit of chatter, updates, links to Bonestone bashes, heads up of any kind, progress notifications, all happen in that one space. So have at it. You're welcome to join.
Bye, guys. Thanks for watching.
See ya. Bye. And because